welcome inside the Dovetail log cabin that I've been building along with some of my family members and friends here. We've put out some videos showing various stages of the build outside and some videos of the inside, but I've had a few viewers ask and other people ask for a video of the inside of the cabin. So today we're going to take you through and kind of show you what we've done, where we're at, and some of my plans for maybe this winter or into 2021 this year. So this is sort of my wood stove setup. I got a basic wood stove that I found on Kijiji, which is a Canadian online classified site. So I've installed this. We got the stovepipe going up, and then it sort of takes a turn and then goes up through the roof near the peak. I went with close to the peak because a few people told me that was better in case snow built up and then slid, just to prevent my chimney getting torn off the camp. So I got a fan here that blows some heat around that's operated from the heat of the stove. I've got a heat shield that I made out of leftover roofing metal. What I did with this is I used copper pipe and spaced it out from the wall a few inches. If you put your hand behind this, the wood, even when the stove's going real hot, stays nice and cool. I built a multi-purpose rack on top of the stove here, and what this is for is really anything. Sometimes I'll use it to put hot kettles or cold kettles, just things I don't want on the stove when I need extra space on the stove. It can also work as a drying rack for gloves or boots. And I made it out of this metal pipe because obviously fire risk. I didn't want to have a shelf made out of wood this close to the stove. And then I used a hearth that I got again on an online classified site and put that underneath. And so this part's been working pretty well. As you probably know from my videos, my cabin is 2 different levels, and one of the things I thought through a lot was how to get up to the second level, whether I wanted a ladder or stairs. And then someone suggested this idea that they called a ship's ladder, which is kind of what I copied. So it's sort of a hybrid between a ladder and stairs. And so I built this. I put it in the center of the cabin in the end, which I think works pretty well. I offset it a little bit from the stove, so you're not going, it's not right in front of the stove. And so we built this just out of 2, I think they're 2x10s maybe, and then put steps every, I don't know how many inches, maybe that is 12 to 16 inches. And that's how I get up and down. We put these railings on, and this is just a small birch tree that we cut and put these on. So they offer a pretty sturdy place to hold on to as you're going up and down. And then behind the stairs, I built, because this cabin's fairly small, you have to kind of utilize the space as well as possible. So I built something like a pantry shelf, maybe you'd call it, behind the stairs. And I built it so that you could also reach through the stairs to get things, because where the stairs are positioned is so close to the stove, it's not uncommon that you might want to grab something, whether you're making tea or cooking. So I did it that way. I debated it because there will be some dirt from the stairs that will get on those shelves, but I think in the end this way works good because I can access the shelf from both sides. And then this is just the kind of the main side of the shelf that we use most of the time. So just a kind of 3 shelves and then a bigger space on the bottom, and just standard kitchen things that we use in the cabin on a regular basis we keep here. And this part of the cabin is our kitchen. So I put a sink here. It's a 2-part sink, so we kind of use one part for dishes and the other part actually often for storage. So the sink, there's probably many different ways to do this, just like there's many ways to do all of the things people do in cabins. What I did is I just installed the sink. It's on a really basic sort of support structure, and then I have a drain on the bottom that drains into my ashes pail. So when you use the sink, the water drains out. You have to make sure you don't overfill the pail, and then when it's full, we'll dump the wastewater out. There's other ways to do this. I think some people might put a pipe through the wall, but I kind of decided not to do that because I thought it could be a way for insects or mice to get into the cabin, and also the pipe could be very prone to freeze. So I just do it this way, and then when I need to use the bucket for the stove, I can just take it over. And again, it's sort of also a space-saving thing in that I only need 1 bucket for ashes, and I can use the same bucket for the water from the sink. And then this countertop's made out of pine that I milled on the mill. Covered it with some tung oil. I may end up refinishing all of this, but I just wanted to get something in here for the winter so that we could use the kitchen portion of the cabin. And then I've got a few shelves underneath here for pots and pans and dishes, and then some food lower down. We found this little thing online. It's a magnetic knife holder, which was kind of handy and works well. And then again, we put in some shelves, various shelves actually all around the cabin using this metal plumbing pipe. And I think it kind of looks nice and holds the shelves well, and it's quite solid. So I used that here, and then I also used some over here for some bigger shelves. So this part of the cabin would be, I guess, the living room part of the cabin. I've got a power commission spool here that I use as a table. We got a couch and a nice blanket I got as a Christmas present that we keep on the couch. And this is sort of where we, sit and spend a fair amount of time in the cabin, and it's positioned kind of nicely across from the stove so you can watch the fire, which is nice at night. We also, because the cabin at this point is fairly small, we don't really have a kitchen table, so we use these, I don't know what they're called, mini tables, let's say, and we'll often eat from the couch. So we use the couch a little bit as a relaxation place, but also as a place where we eat. And then on this side of the cabin too, I've got more racks for hanging. So these are really nice that Katie built, just slab wood from the mill that she sanded down and finished, and then took spoons and bent them and turned them into hangers. So we've got, I think, 3 of them in the cabin, and it's nice to have lots of places to hang things, especially in the winter, because you get cold or wet or snowy clothing and you can hang it up to dry. Yeah, so that's the living room portion of the cabin. I put 2 doors on the cabin on the main level. I positioned them just directly opposite of each other on opposite sides of the cabin. I've got a video out of how I made them, but they're just 2 big pine slabs. I get hinges made locally that are pretty rugged hinges that are grab the door from both sides. I did that because, well, the doors, 1, are quite heavy, and 2, and I hope this works, but I'm told pine is prone to cupping, and I thought if I have really rugged hinges it might prevent the pine from cupping somewhat. We'll see. So far it seems to be fine. The door is made out of 2 pine slabs that I slotted in a piece in between the 2, so you can see here where the 2 pieces of wood come together. I knew the wood was going to shrink a little bit, so the piece inside is 2 inches wide, and that keeps air from being able to come through the door. I put weather stripping around the door, and that's worked well for drafts and keeping mice and insects out. And yeah, so basically, well, actually I used this technique for the 2 doors on the bottom as well as the door up top, which will take you out to the outside balcony. And then this is my front door, so the other door on the main level of the cabin. Just put a basic gate latch on it and some handles, and then it opens out, and then you can see outside. I wanted the doors to open out because, again, it's a space thing. The cabin only has so much space, so I didn't want the door coming into where I have things inside, and the space on the outside I think I have to be a little less particular about, so I thought it'd be fine for the door to open here. I keep a little bit of wood beside each door, and so there's plenty of room for the door to open and close. And then to close on the outside, that day I didn't have any door hardware, so I just built this, which is just a piece of wood that slots in and keeps the door closed. Yeah, I keep the cabin locked. I have security cameras around the property, so from a security standpoint, that's what I do there. For windows in the cabin, I went with 4 windows at the bottom, and for now 1 window up top. Going into this again, I didn't know a whole lot, but windows are kind of expensive, so I found windows online, and then I kind of adopted my cabin design based on the windows I was able to get to a degree, but I wanted 2 largish windows and 2 small windows. I positioned them with the 2 larges opposite each other and the 2 small windows opposite each other. There really wasn't a whole lot of thought into that. I wanted to have light coming in the cabin, but at the same time I didn't want too much window because of, I think, the logs in the cabin are nice, so I tried to balance those 2 things. All right, so now we'll go upstairs and show you the top, which is something I don't think I've shown a lot on other videos. So come on up. Welcome upstairs to the upper level of the cabin. I've got a door here that takes you from the inside to an upper balcony. And I'd say the upstairs of the cabin is still a bit of a work in progress. I worked hard to get the bottom done for winter, but there are quite a few things I plan to do upstairs, but I'll show you where it's at now and what I'm planning to do. So come on out, I'll show you the view from up here. This is the upstairs balcony. I haven't used it a whole lot yet. I think it'll be more something I'll use in the spring and fall. Winter it's a bit cold, but I'll probably screen it in so that insects and bugs don't get at you, because in the spring here those can be a real pain. Yeah, but it's a nice view. It gives you a different look at the water. You can when you're above the water looking down, I find you can see more of the wildlife, fish, turtles, whatever happens to be around. So it'll be a nice place to sort of hang out. I debated doing this or just having the entire upstairs as an inside, which I could always change, but I'm going to certainly leave it like this for now, and then see how things go and see what I like, what I don't like, and what I might want to change. I'm upstairs now. I'm standing on what I've been calling the bridge, which is the pathway or walkway between the two ends of the upstairs part of the cabin. You can see the stovepipe assembly here. So my stovepipe goes up, it takes a bit of a turn, and then it goes up through the peak. We built a wooden box here that holds the cathedral ceiling support structure. That's worked pretty well. I'll probably board this in and make it look a little prettier with time, but it's fine for now. I've got a railing here between the two levels, which I will likely make kind of a second railing below and vertical post in between, just in case there's kids up here, so it's safer. And then the upstairs part of the cabin, originally I was just going to do my rafters from the peak down to the upper wall of the lower cabin, but a friend of mine, Paul, suggested I do a knee wall, and I think that was a really good idea because it gives a lot more space. So now I can walk through here without any risk of hitting my head. And I think I could put something here, maybe a small couch or something underneath, or a day bed in case I have a guest or whatnot. So there is still some space to play with here. And then if you keep coming through here, you get to what we're using as a bedroom for now. Lots of things I'd like to do here. The bed's just sitting on the floor for now, but it gives you pretty good space. It's a queen-size bed, which there's lots of room. There's room to get around, room to stand up. So I'll probably build a bed frame for this. I'll make some end tables, and the entire upstairs I have to finish the chinking on too. So you'll notice that between the gaps here I haven't finished the inside chinking yet, but I'll wait till the spring or till warmer weather comes and do that. And you'll notice there's a bit of spray foam insulation in different places, and that's just something that I'll clean up and polish up with the chinking, and it'll look the same as the downstairs. This is what the downstairs looked like before I finished the chinking, at least to a degree. One of my videos we showed how we did the roof support structure, but yeah, I put the large ridge beam in using lap joints, and then it's supported on 4 spots, the 2 ends, actually 5 spots, the 2 ends, a gable end, and these 2 vertical posts. So I just put these as vertical 6x6s, and I cut 45-degree supports. It's like not true timber framing. It's sort of, I guess, a modern timber framing where I did use timber lock screws, but it's held up well, and I think I like the look of it. All right, so up here in this corner of the upstairs is sort of my electronics room, let's call it. So I'm still figuring out the best way to do this, but I do have 2 solar panels outside that feed in here. I've got a charge controller, and I put a charge on just a basic deep cycle. It's a small deep cycle battery. And then I can run an inverter here off of the deep cycle battery, which I can use for different things. I do have it set up with, like, there's no cellular signal here, which is good and bad, but like my normal job often requires me to have some degree of connection, especially if I'm here for longer periods of time. So I do have a cell signal booster, and I have things set up so that I can get satellite internet here, because I do part of the time work online. So that's been nice. It's allowed me to be able to connect from here, but at the same time I can shut it all off and not be connected at all. And also with the way I have my power system set up, this battery doesn't provide a long amount of power, so I have to be selective about when I do choose to connect. So, which is nice compared to the real world, let's say, because I'm not always connected by default. I have to make a point to get connected. So I like that. And then the other thing I use as well is I have a Jackery power bank, which I bought. No connection to Jackery, but I've had this for probably a year or more. And this is nice. I'll charge this at home and bring it down, and it's capable of running all the same technology. Or if I want to run a light or something small, I can run it on that. I'm still trying to figure out how I can charge this with my existing solar panels. I haven't been able to figure that out. But I've been trying to talk to Jackery to get some answers on that. So if anyone knows, feel free to let me know. So yeah, this is my electronics room. I'll probably put something here to organize this a little better, maybe a desk or a shelf or something. And I might even put a small desk up here. So that's my inside tour of the cabin. And we'll go down now and go outside for a bit. This is my back porch. Built a wood box here, store some firewood there. I've got some kindling cut up in buckets. A little bit of extra firewood here. This stuff's kind of wet, but it'll burn if the fire is going well enough. And these are my steps that I built. These are built from the cutouts from the windows, and I just put them together to make steps. And they're pretty solid, working good. So now we're more at the front of the cabin. And this is where I've got my solar panels. So I get 2 solar panels, and I just sort of move them around with the sun in the day, and they'll keep that battery charged. Not much to show on the side of the cabin. I've got a few tools hanging. I've got a bird feeder. For a long time, the only birds I was getting here are gorbies or gray jays. But lately I've been able to get chickadees coming through, so that's nice. I've seen 1 blue jay and a squirrel that seems to live here. So these are my other set of steps. I've got to clean them off, but this will take you up to the front porch. Front porch is the same dimensions as the back porch, but we use this one a bit more for the barbecue. So for cooking, I can barbecue out here. I store a few things here. In the winter, I'll keep like food and stuff out here under storage. So like things I need to keep cold, I mean. I do have some ideas about extending this porch. As you can see, the cabin overhangs a little bit, and I might need to modify that some. So I've been thinking about bringing this out another 4 feet. But that'd be a task that I'll think about doing later this year when it warms up. Plans that I've got, or ideas that I have maybe for this year of things to do. One of the things I'm noticing with the cabin already is for 1 person or 2 people, it's perfectly fine size-wise. But there's really not much extra space if you wanted to have a group of people down or play cards or something like that. So I've been thinking about already putting an extension on, and what I'm thinking of doing is building a room that comes out from this side of the cabin that might be 8 feet wide by 10 feet long, and sort of build it onto the cabin with a separate roof. And I'm debating different ideas on how to do this best and different sizes and whatnot, but it would be nice to be able to, especially when this pandemic's over and you're allowed to get people together, to be able to have people down here and it be comfortable. Or if some friends or other family members wanted to come down for a night, probably have an extra bed in this section. So that's kind of my big idea for this year in terms of the cabin. I've got some other side projects going on here. I have a shed that I'm working to finish, an outhouse that I'm looking to finish soon, and a few other things. But I'd say this would be the main thing, because I would like to be able to have a little extra space in here. That's a tour of the cabin where it's at now, with its good parts, its imperfections, its things I do differently. But like I've said in other videos, I'm really happy that I started this project. I had no idea what I was getting into, really. It's a lot more work than I thought, but it's fun, and it's been a great opportunity to do something new and to meet people, and so thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of this. So have a good day.